Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today we are revisiting Samurai again. I've been putting a lot of time on this job over the last few weeks, or even months at this point, I guess, and I think it's safe to say that at this point it has easily become one of my favorite jobs in the game, which is kind of funny if I think back at Stormblood, because when it first came out, I wasn't really that big of a fan of Samurai. It's not that I disliked playing it, but I was on the Red Mage hype train back then. So it took a long time for me to actually get around to learning Samurai back then, and looking back, I also don't think I ever actually properly learned how to play it, although Samurai has always had some attraction towards me for a few simple reasons. Especially back in Stormblood, Samurai was a bit of a meme. Most of the Samurai players that you came across were mediocre at best, and a lot of people disliked having one in the party because it didn't bring any raid utility, and back then we didn't have the raid DPS metric yet on FFXIV, so everyone kinda wanted to have a job in the party that could help boost their numbers. But much like it is right now, Samurai was able to pull a lot of damage for themselves, and that was a big attraction point for me, especially when doing stuff like 24-man raids. I'd say I was probably a bit more of an elitist, toxic player back then than I am right now, so I would always have my parser on and feel good about myself when I was able to be the best in the group. And Samurai was basically made to do just that. So the average Samurai being considered bad in the eyes of the community, it having a high damage ceiling, and then me having the chance to stroke my Epine were all things that made me want to get good at the job back then. But outside of 24-man raids, it didn't really see much play from me, because every time I wanted to try hard at playing a melee job, I would just default back to Ninja, since that had been my main melee DPS for such a long time at that point. Now in comes Shadowbringers, which changed a lot of things. Ninja at launch wasn't really the best to play, and Samurai also had to undergo some changes for it to be good again, but after both jobs had their rework or slight adjustments, I've now come to a spot where I still enjoy some aspects of Ninja, but it's just not the same anymore as what it used to be for me. Don't get me wrong, I think they did a pretty good job with the Ninja rework, and I love how the Mudra and the ninjutsu system feels right now, but I also feel like the job doesn't have enough going on at the moment outside of its trick attack window. You have these 15 seconds that are incredibly intense during the trick attack, and then the other 45 seconds you feel like nothing much is going on at all. So this is something that I hope that they will address going into Endwalker, as Ninja does still have a lot of nostalgic feelings for me, and I would love for it to be in a place again where I would like to be playing it more than I do now. On the other hand though, we have Samurai, who after its minor change to Shoha feels really smooth to play right now. For the majority of this expansion, I knew the basics of Samurai. I knew you had to do a filler combo to make sure that your stuff stayed aligned for your next Tsubame Gaishi, etc. But I never really looked much further into it than that, and I also never really learned the actual rotation. Now that was until a few months ago, where one of my viewers came up to me and asked me if I could help him with Samurai and do some personal coaching, as it were. Now I didn't want to waste either of our time, so I decided to actually learn how to play the job, and with some very minor adjustments to the basics that I'd already learned, it just sort of clicked. Now I'm not an amazing Samurai, although I do feel like I've improved a lot over these last few months, but my enjoyment of the job has gone up substantially. It just flows incredibly well, and it feels really smooth to play, refreshing your 1 minute dot right as it's about to run out, or being able to hit that Tsubame Gaishi right as it becomes available. It just feels satisfying. And then we still have the fact that Samurai is still one of the strongest personal DPS jobs in the game, so if I'm able to play well, that can also make the run go a lot faster than if, say, I was playing something like a dancer and there isn't a good second player in the group to give my dance partners to. The second thing, however, isn't really something that I care about as much anymore as I used to back in the day. Yes, I still care about performing well and doing good deeps, but it's been a very long time at this point since I've had my ACT open to parse myself. Nowadays, I value the enjoyment I get from playing a job a whole lot more than how well a job can perform. And even then, the balance in Final Fantasy XIV is pretty good at the moment, so as long as you're playing your job well, you will contribute enough to the group's success. And because Samurai just feels incredibly good to play right now to me, I've just been having a lot of fun with it. And at the end of the day, I think that is the most important, having fun while playing my favorite game. Looking forward to what they will be adding to Samurai in the next expansion, but I do hope that they stay close to the core feeling that we have right now, as to me, it's one of the better feeling jobs in the game at the moment, and I would hate to see that not being the case anymore. Anyways, I think I've been rambling on for long enough at this point. I like Samurai a lot in its current iteration, and I can recommend anyone to give it a try for themselves. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite job is and why that is the case. Curious to see what you guys' favorite jobs are. But that's gonna do it for me. I wanna thank you for watching. I wanna thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.